going to be talking about integrated digital marketing strategies. We're going to talk about 8 different strategies that you can incorporate into your website after you've already created it, launched it, and everything like that. First, we're going to talk about the different integrated media components. So we're going to be talking about your website, where your blog fits in, how your newsletter also incorporates with it, social media and how that plays a role into the website, the traffic, and your blog, and getting people to sign up for your newsletter. As well as we're going to talk about mobile experience, products, services that you offer, your landing pages, email marketing, and other integrated media components. Basically, today we're going to cover these different 8 things, which is going to be your website is the middle, the very center, the hub of everything else that connects to it. And outside of your website, you've got your content, actually not outside of your website, within your website, these other components are integrated inside of it to make it work. So on one part, you've got content on your blog, on your website. Content can be anywhere, like video, it can be social media content, it could vary into lots of different things. The next part is how you're converting people. So when they're going to your website, how are they being converted from going to your website to being a customer or signing up for your newsletter or something like that? So how are you converting those people? The next piece is traffic. How are you getting traffic to your website once it's already built? Like, it's not like if you build it, they will come. So you're going to need to figure out ways to bring traffic to your website. And a lot of times traffic, content, and social media, those 3 kind of tie together very well. Next, it's about optimizing your website for the best results you can get, not only as far as for your traffic and conversions, but as far as getting it shared and other different components. The next piece is about your marketing, how you're branding yourself, what your message is, what your unique selling proposition is, different things like that. So your marketing strategy is a big part of your website, and that includes a lot of different components that we were going to talk about later. The next piece is about mobile. So right now, mobile is a really big deal. Recently, the Google algorithms changed a lot of things where a lot of websites that are not mobile friendly are going to be dropped from the search engines. And so mobile is a big deal. And it's not just about the mobile experience, but it's about a totally different approach. People are looking at websites and experiencing websites in a totally different way when they're on their mobile devices, like their iPads or their phones. Now there's watches. I mean, all these new wearable technologies are going to come into play later on. We're also going to talk about a social media strategy and how to kind of combine your content, your marketing, and like synergize it in a way that gets people to share your content and, brings you traffic and connects you and builds relationships with other people. The next piece is going to be mostly about connecting. Relationships is what drives everything. Without relationships, you're not going to be able to build your social media. Without relationships, your marketing's not going to go anywhere. Without relationships, no matter how amazing your content is, nobody's going to read it. Without relationships, there is no traffic, there is no conversion. And so in order to build those relationships, you need these other components like social content and things like that that'll allow them to feed off of this content and keep coming back. So let's go ahead and get started with content strategy. Content strategy is about planning, organizing, and creating a content calendar. This is really important because without your content calendar, a lot of times you'll feel lost and you don't know what's going to be published next, and you have zero idea on what you're going to even do next. So having a content calendar makes it somewhat easier. More than likely, you'll be much less stressed about having to do another blog post because you're not going to be worried about what's next and, oh my gosh, I need to come up with new ideas. Like, you need to have these ideas already fleshed out and ready to go on a content calendar That way you're like, oh, today I'm going to talk about this, and then you do it. It's going to be much easier than sitting there and frustrating yourself trying to brainstorm the topic that you're going to talk about, like on the spot, because there's a blog post that you're supposed to publish tomorrow. That brings me to the next point, which is determine the frequency and length of each piece. So each blog post doesn't have to be like 800 or 1,000 words. Like, you can vary the frequency and the length. For example, you might have the frequency for your blog post might be like every week, so weekly blog posts. But you could also have blurbs or quotes or curated content or other pieces that can come in. And they don't have to be lengthy. They don't have to be, as meaty as your regular blog post, but you can just add other ways to kind of build that consistency and frequency and not have to consistently write like tons and tons of blogs or, things like that. So the next piece is about creating images, videos, infographics, and other media that gets people to engage with you, to share, to talk about what you've got to offer. So creating images, videos, infographics, and other media is really awesome and a really good way to support your content strategy. The next piece is identify your markets, frequent questions, frequent objections, what they're already looking at, what they've already tried, different things like that. So identify your market and really know what they're wanting, what their pains are, different things like that. This will help you create content that speaks directly to them. And then from then, you'll be able to have more direct communication, and it helps build relationships for you. Also, allow flexibility for real-time content creation. So what that means is that, next week there might be some hot topic that is trending on Twitter and Facebook, and it's related to your industry in some way. Well, allow that flexibility for you to like curate the content or write your own opinion about what's going on, or chime in on somebody else's conversation and be like, okay, this is what I think. So allowing yourself to have that flexibility and joining conversations while it's happening will put you in the forefront of your industry, as well as keep you up to date on everything that's going on. The next piece is about demonstrating consistent voice, messaging, and branding. So make sure that whether you're doing your own social media or you're outsourcing, or your own blog post or you're outsourcing them, make sure that the voice is consistent and the messaging isn't contradicting itself, and the branding as well as how you're speaking to your audience doesn't vary drastically. So that's basically the touch points that I'm going to go over for a content strategy. Next, we're going to be speaking about marketing strategy. So marketing strategy is about how you're positioning your brand, your product, or your service. Like, why are you different? How come I should buy from you versus Bob and Joe down the street who have the same offer? Like, they also sell paper. What is better about your paper, for example? So making sure that whatever you're offering is not commoditized. Make sure that you explain why you're different and how you're building value, as opposed to everyone else who has the supposed seemingly very similar thing. The next piece is about creating personas to cater to your audience. So whenever you're creating your content strategy, you're going to need to speak to certain people that are part of your audience. And so you're going to need to know your audience, really know, like we were talking earlier, their objections, their problems, their pain points, different things like that. So just know who you're speaking with. Knowing your audience is a really big step in making any of this work for you well. The next piece is about your business plan, how you're planning to monetize it, how you're planning to structure everything. So your marketing strategy is all about your business and where it's going and how it's going to get there. A lot of it is about building value for the right people. A lot of it is about planning and organizing, and also continuing to innovate and improve from people's feedback. So if people are giving you feedback as you're going, even if you're a startup, even if your company has been around for 20 years, you need to make sure that you consistently ask for feedback and you use that feedback to improve and to provide better options and services down the road. Another part of this is building and designing value driven marketing collaterals. So, making sure that you have PDFs, giveaways, videos, different things like that that you can give to people that actually fit into what you're selling. So, that's a really big component. Also, make sure that you're taking care of your reputation management. If people are giving you like lots of bad reviews, make sure that you're balancing that out with really good reviews, not like by paying for them or finding tricky ways of getting that, but by genuinely asking satisfied or, more than satisfied customers, hey, it'd be great if you would leave me feedback here. So that's another piece that also goes into your marketing strategy. Moving on, next, we're going to be talking about traffic. So traffic is the oxygen of your website/business. It's important to establish touch points for people at different stages. So if somebody's on your website, you need to have certain touch points that are ready for them. If people are on social media, then that's a different stage. So you need to find a way to get them from that stage to your website. If people are on your website, then the stage that you want to get after that is to have them on your newsletter. If they're already on your newsletter, how can you get them to buy or try something you've got an offer for? So there's a lot of different stages that people are at, and just your job with this traffic strategy is to kind of tunnel them into getting closer and closer and closer to where you are, until they eventually buy your product or work with you or whatever your end goal really is. But establishing touch points is important because you don't want to be like that salesy, pushy person. You want to kind of have different ways to speak to different people because not everyone is going to connect with you the same way. For example, a lot of people don't feel comfortable using social media. So if that's your only way that you're connecting with, the audience that you're after, then you're going to leave a lot of people kind of hanging. So that's very important. Determine what channels you're going to use for traffic is the next point. So as far as how are you going to get traffic, what are the sources that you're going to get that from? Is it going to be social media? Are you going to do paid per click, organic through your blog post? Are you going to be doing guest posting, being featured on interviews or podcasts, different things like that? So just kind of determine where those are going to come from and different sources that they can come from. And are you doing webinars or Google Hangouts and different things like that? That's where a lot of people can congregate and build. It kind of builds a community and it helps you with that. So the next part of your traffic strategy could be joint ventures. Is there someone else in your industry that has a related product or service that isn't exactly competing with you but could be complementary to what you have already? So that could be a great option for you, as well as list building, like building your own list, asking people who already have a list to kind of feature you in their list or send something out that has a little blurb about you on their list or their newsletter or their blog, something like that, as well as collaboration. So collaboration, as far as traffic strategy goes, has to do a lot with just like getting really creative. So are you collaborating with other people on writing a giant blog post that, five of you work on and all five of you share with your social channels and, try to promote that? Collaboration also has to do with maybe like we were talking about earlier, like podcasts or webinars. You can actually run different, podcasts that feature other people, and have both of y'all be kind of growing at the same time and having that exposure, as well as webinars and even writing a PDF, writing a short book together, different things like that. There's a lot of ways that collaboration can bring you lots of traffic. The next piece is going to be more about like public relations, media appearances. Are you on the news, newspaper? Just kind of the different ways that you can gain exposure by being really good at PR or knowing someone who really is good at PR and having them either exchange each other's services, or even if you need to pay for that, being in the media, being mentioned by big media outlets is really going to bring you a lot of traffic and also kind of help you establish yourself as the expert. Your traffic strategy needs to really get integrated with your social media, your SEO, your content strategy. There's a lot in your marketing strategy. They all fit together. There's no line. They all kind of integrate with each other. And the next piece we're going to talk about is your social media strategy. So, as far as your social media strategy goes, you're going to need to build a consistent social media voice and tone. And by that, I mean like I was saying earlier on your blog post, have that voice or tone or messages that you're saying that don't contradict each other. Use the same consistent language. Don't be like boring and like use like the exact same language every time, but kind of have some consistency in it. Also, find a way to either automate it, manage it yourself, or find a way to take care of it, because your social media strategy is really important and it shouldn't just be completely automated or outsourced. If you don't have some say in what's going on and getting feedback and engaging and interacting, then your social media strategy is not good. The next piece about this is filtering your audience and directing them to the proper medium. So after they're already on your social media, say they're on Facebook or they find you on Twitter, how did they find you? Are they interested in your blog post? Could you point them to your blog post? Or are they more ready to buy? Could you send them to like an actual lead capture page? Or could you send them to somewhere that you're giving away some free information? Could you send them somewhere where they could sign up for a webinar or some other form of interaction? Or could you send them directly to signing up for your newsletter? I mean, know where you're going to direct them to after they're on your social media. And you can direct them to other social media as well. Like if you have a Facebook community that's really strong and somebody finds you on Twitter, maybe you can point them to Facebook, and they may or may not have the interest, but having other ways to connect is going to be always a really good idea. Make sure that you leverage your social media for highly targeted traffic. So what that means is make sure that you're speaking in their language, in their voice, to their pain points, to their objections, their problems, and using that will help you get more targeted traffic. The next piece is about branding your social media, designing it, and making sure it looks consistent with your website, and making sure that people can identify that that's really your brand's social media channel and not some other person's. Also, make sure that there's a lot of engagement. You're interacting, you're starting conversations, joining conversations, different things like that. And also make sure that your social media integrates with your blog, your website, your landing pages, your newsletters, all the other pieces that fall into your entire ecosystem. Now let's talk about optimization strategy. So once you have a website, you need to have tools that help you automate, optimize, and raise conversions. It's also important to collect, analyze, and organize relevant data that helps you improve and create different ways of testing different things that may or may not work, and see what kind of feedback you're getting. A/B testing of your copy, what kind of words you're using, the order of the words that you're using, how long is it, how short it is, the design of it, what colors you're using, what the layout looks like, and what other media components you're using. Are you using video, infographics, pictures, different things like that? What other pieces are you using that you could test out and move around and see what kind of results you're getting? The next piece is about tracking your traffic, measuring your trends, and make needed changes. For example, if you know that you're catering to dads and then, next month it's Mother's Day, obviously you might want to kind of tie that in and optimize that piece into your content strategy and be like, 10 top 10 things to get for Mother's Day or something like that talks to those people that you're already working with. The next piece is about staying up to date with new trends and technology. So make sure that if it's the latest craze, don't just jump in for the heck of it, but kind of stay up to date and keep your eyes open to what's changing in the environment. The next piece is about conversion strategy. So as far as your website, your social media, your blog, all of it needs to have a goal. So what are you going to really want from all of this work and all of this different pieces that integrate together? So This is where we're going to talk about your landing pages, your copy, how you optimize them. You're giving away, whether you're giving away like white papers, freebies, software, graphics. There's so much things you can give away to build value. Even list of tools, lists of um, helpful resources, an outline on how to do something. There's so many things that you can give away, and just kind of working on that and having that together. The next piece is going to be about newsletter signups and opt-in pages. So kind of give them a reason to sign up for your newsletter, like whether it's weekly or bi-weekly or 3 times a week, whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be a newsletter. It can be like you can email people your latest blog post. That's probably most people's newsletter is. But the biggest piece about this is that newsletters build relationships and keeps people coming back. So also have social media specific landing pages and offers. So if someone finds you on Facebook or Twitter, have a landing page that's dedicated only for Twitter, people that find you on Twitter, or only for people that find you on Facebook, and speak to that audience because they're totally different audiences depending on the source that they came from. And then also have ways to offer upgrades, add-ons, or cross promotions to your products or services. This could be through your own products or services and upgrading them, or like we talked about earlier, collaborating with other people that also have related products or services that you could promote. It could be through affiliate marketing, joint ventures, just different things like that. Don't overdo it. Don't oversell. But if there's a relevant product or service that you feel that might benefit your audience, then go ahead and offer it. And then the next part is about lead generation through the use of integrated channels. So how are you generating leads? Try to generate leads through social media, through your blog, through all these different options that we just talked about earlier. Next, let's talk about your mobile marketing strategy. So make sure that you either have a full mobile website or a responsive website. Google will penalize you if you don't. So that's always, a good reason to have a mobile website. And then the next piece is about applications. You could use apps or find someone to develop an app that can supplement your digital experience. So whether it's like a loyalty app for your restaurant, or like an app that helps people organize themselves, or an app that somehow helps your audience solve one of their problems. And think about mobile first, and don't just like leave it to chance. Be proactive about how you're approaching that. If you're offering e-commerce in any way, make sure that it works on a smartphone and tablet. Make sure that the shopping experience is smooth and that they don't have to like jump through hoops to or make an order from your website. Next, let's talk about integrating your mobile content with video and social. So sometimes your videos and social media don't quite look the same on a mobile device. So make sure that your video is responsive. So if they're looking at it on a smaller screen, that it gets smaller or wider as needed. And make sure that you apply mobile marketing specific best practices. So what that means is, like, if you're offering like a landing page, maybe make it mobile specific and don't make it quite as long. People don't like to scroll as much on a mobile device as they would on a laptop or desktop. So maybe keeping it a little bit short, keeping it more to the point, and making it easier to navigate and different things like that. Let's talk about connection strategy. This is going to be my favorite part. People want to connect with people, not with brands. So what that means is, if you have your logo on your Twitter and your Facebook and different things like that, it's less likely that people will connect with that logo because you're not a popular brand. You're not Coca-Cola. You're not Apple. You're not, Microsoft. So unless you're one of the top brands, people don't really want to connect with brands. They want to connect with other people that support a certain cause or that are joining together for a certain reason. So make sure that you add personality to that. And then when it comes to personality, make sure that you mix a little bit of business and a little bit of personal. So don't make it so like stale and dry that everything's business, business, business. Kind of throw in something personal in there, not too personal where it's like, whoa, too much information, but just talk about your interest, your likes, what you did, different things like that that could relate to what you're promoting or talking about. A really big part of this is being authentic and being helpful, friendly, respectful, and human. So there's a lot of people that are flaky on the internet. I think a lot of people can tell and see right through your salesy, pitchy kind of attitude. So be helpful, be friendly, and be human, because human beings like to connect with other human beings. Human beings don't exactly connect with, you know, brands or, some idea or concept. People like to connect with other people. So remembering that and keeping that top mind is really important. Also, make sure that you repeat and use consistency to strengthen your connections. So sometimes not everyone is going to be on social media at the same time that you're publishing your blog post or your blurb or your quote. So kind of repeat in a non-evasive way and have consistency that will strengthen that connection and build the relationship for you. Also, make sure that you engage with other people and you participate in conversations and engage people and have debates, not like making it where you're arguing, but where you're actually giving input and, getting feedback and exchanging ideas and things like that. Next is about building and nurturing relationships through value and content. Make sure that you're building value in all aspects of your business, and the best way to build value is through your content. So make sure that you're doing those two things together. So your website is live. What's next? There's all these different integrated marketing technologies that we spoke about. So don't stop improving. Don't stop at launching your website and then just leaving it up to let's see what happens. Make sure that you take a purposeful approach and that you think about your content, your social media, your conversions, your traffic, everything. My name's Aida. I'm a WordPress entrepreneur, designer, and blogger. I'm passionate about storytelling, content marketing, and I help small businesses create growth-focused digital marketing strategies. You can see on the screen different ways to contact me. If you had any other questions, please feel free to reach out if you had any questions about anything that I spoke about today. And thank you so much. I hope you have a fabulous time integrating all of these different components into your website and your marketing